All right. Welcome back, everyone. We're here on National Ceiling Fan Day. And no, I did not make that up. To talk about something a little more advanced, ERVs. Our guest is here to explain why they're more important than ever in today's homes. He's even brought case studies to show us as well. So, who is our guest? Why, it's Don West, product manager at Panasonic Ecosystems North America. He is focused on advancing energy recovery ventilation solutions, and he's also a dedicated participant with the Home Ventilating Institute, contributing to industry best practices. Joining Don for a one-on-one discussion is Matt Power. He is the editor-in-chief of Green Builder Media. It's largely because of Matt that Green Builder magazine was named Best Residential Trade Magazine by the National Association of Real Estate Editors for 8 consecutive years. Matt has an award-winning, nearly 3-decade career reporting on innovation and sustainability in housing. Now, hopefully you don't go too hard on Don here, Matt. Our webinar is brought to you, though, by Panasonic. Panasonic Healthy Indoor Living Solutions is helping builders across the country differentiate themselves with powerful, code-compliant, and cost-effective indoor air quality solutions that provide a safer environment for home buyers. Now, during the course of today's discussion, you can submit questions for Don. Simply use the Q&A function located in the menu bar at the bottom of the Zoom window. I'll review those questions, and if we have time, I'll pose them to Don after his discussion with Matt. Matt, take it away, my friend.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for taking time out of your valuable day and joining us. ERVs are a topic that's near and dear to my heart. I've installed them, I've used them, and I've followed their development over the last decades. And so anyway, this should be an easy one in terms of getting into deep into some details, but also giving you more of a rounded view of what ERV technology is. So Don, thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Matt, and Mike, thanks for the introduction. Appreciate it.
So Don, I wanted to first, we're going to assume that our audience is, partly professional and partly just sort of what we call prosumer, people who are sort of savvy or, homeowners who also want to know about this kind of technology, but they may not be super familiar with, what an ERV is, why you'd want to have one in your home, or why it's, worth spending the money on that versus some other form of ventilation. So why don't we start just at the basics? So give us a little bit of a picture of ERV technology, what it is, what it does, why we want it.
Oh, that's great, Matt. It's a great place to start. And being a picture's worth 1,000 words, I'll pull up a couple pictures. So how's that? Okay. So in talking about ERVs, energy recovery ventilators, it's in a nutshell, it's 2 fans with a core in a box. I mean, that's it's rudimentary. But what does it do? It brings fresh air in, and it expels exhausted air or stale air from the house. And while it's doing that, it's transferring heat and moisture between the incoming fresh air that's filtered, and it's expelling that bad air out. So as I was saying, the ERV, it transfers heat and moisture between that incoming fresh air and the outgoing stale air. And it's measured in its performance is measured in a number of ways. One of the key components of measuring how it performs is with sensible recovery efficiency, and this is how well it captures that heat that from the exhaust airstream, and that's that's during the heating season, and then during the summer months it maintains that cool, dry indoor air. Total recovery efficiency is a measurement used to predict how it performs in the summer and or during the cooling season. And then the other big component is managing moisture, and that's that latent moisture transfer. And that is something that that shows, hey, how fast or how well this ERV moves moisture. Because again, key component of ERV is it recovers energy and moisture.
Right. Let me sort of paraphrase that too for our sort of homeowner audience. Is so basically, if you were just to open a window in the summer, in Florida or something, and let the air come in, it's coming in hot. What this device does is it takes the air that you've already cooled inside the house and it transfers the energy between that fresh air and the indoor air. So it saves some of the energy you've already spent cooling the indoor air. So it makes it a lot more energy efficient form of keeping the air clean.
Right. Yeah, if you're opening your window, that hot air or that really cold air is just going to come in, and then your HVAC system is going to have to work extra hard to make up for it. We've got a little animation of how an ERV functions. So air coming in from the left, the lower left, just this is the summer months. You have that warm air coming in, it's passing through that core. And it's passing by the cold air that's inside the house on the bottom right. And the air doesn't mix. It's just passing by. It's passing by each through each capillary core that's in there. And what it's doing is it's exchanging that energy and moisture through that core. So again, this is the air does not mix, but you're bringing that fresh air in. It's filtering. There's a MERV 13 down in the bottom left there, and before it hits the core, and then comes into the home and is distributed. So again, this is just another way of bringing air in, but also maintaining that energy savings.
Yeah, I should note that the MERV 13 is considered it's a fairly high level of media filter. It will filter out most particles. It's not a dedicated filter, but you are going to get it does do a little bit of air scrubbing of the indoor air as it's coming in. So yeah,
Sure.
MERV 13 is a little higher. I've seen other, devices from other companies that use lower level filtration. So that's a pretty high level of filtration in this one.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
just a touch on the MERVs. We do have other filters that are available. But the MERV 8, that's going to take care of like your general mold spores, dust mites, dander from pets, pollen, that kind of thing. MERV 13 is going to get those smaller particulates, like whether it's smoke from tobacco or even wildfire smoke on the outside.
Right. Now, there's another aspect to this, which is for the professionals in the audience, that the building codes have become more strict about ventilation over the past, say, 10, 15 years. So why don't you give us a breakdown, if you would, about how ERVs make it easier now to meet the current building codes in terms of ventilation? I mean, there's other ways to do it, but ERVs seem like the easiest no-brainer and sort of nice, clean, sustainable method.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Just a quick look at some of the codes on the right. We have our IRC, IECC. 2015 was the call for mechanical ventilation, supply, exhaust, or a combination. There wasn't a call for an ERV.
Right.
There was that. And in 2021, IECC, IRC kicks it up a notch, and now they say, okay, zones 7 and 8. So that top part of the country, the purple and the dark gray up, and so you're talking like the top of Minnesota, some parts of Colorado, Alaska. They're now requiring ERVs, so it's called for in the code. 2024. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You can kind of see what you can see the direction this is going. It's not going to get less strict. Probably it's going to probably keep drifting southward.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's what it's looking at in 2024. Now we're drifting down to zone 6. So we'll have to see what as the code progresses. I don't think it's going to go any higher. It's going to keep drifting lower in the states. Now ERVs are not required for the lower zones, but there have been studies out there that show it's a good recommendation for those zones 1A, 2A, those hot humid climates where those you have hot weather where moisture management is key.
Right. And there's a couple of different aspects. There's, along with this filtration, there's diffusion, right? So can you maybe just quickly touch on what's the difference between diffusion and filtration for people?
So diffusion, what you're doing is you're actually, you know, you're diluting the air. So in other words, you know, you're trying to push out all that bad air, CO2, VOCs, all the bad stuff that gets trapped in your house because houses are built a lot tighter now. You want to diffuse and lower the levels of those by bringing in that fresh air and trying to expel the bad air. Filtration, we're going to be, you know, now we're actually trapping those elements in the filter rather than trying to expel them.
I wanted to tell a quick story. So I had a small house in Florida a few years ago, and my wife and I were having trouble sleeping, and we installed an ERV. It was a cement block house. And I happened to have one of the new air monitors. I think it was either an Aware or a Fubot. So I did a before after of what happened when I installed the ERV. So what it did was it brought fresh air into the whole house. And, you know, we had tried other things like opening windows, and that wasn't working for us. So let me show you my results here. All right, so it should pop up with a little chart. So on the left is before the ERV. And this, you see the 1460 parts per million. That was a bedroom. We were waking up with headaches, you know, not feeling well, etc. But this was immediately after installing the ERV on the right. It dropped it more than about 600 points per million down consistently, and dropped the overall level of pollutants during the day. And that was strictly with diffusion. And that was actually a Panasonic's. So that was one of your earlier, like was it the Intella 100? It was one
Right.
of a few years ago.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway, just wanted to have that little anecdote because I have had personal good experience with those, you know, really helping out with indoor air quality.
No, that's great news to hear. I mean, the IntelliBalance is a very strong product. It's been around for years and continues to perform.
So you have some new products. So you got, like you said, you've got some new stuff, both recent, and you've got some stuff coming out soon that you can't really get into the details on. So why don't you show us what you can show us and maybe hint at what you can't?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Just
Hold up and share for us. Okay.
Yep, coming up.
Great.
So our current lineup, and actually the one that you have is right there, the IntelliBalance
right
100.
That's it.
But going from left to right, it's pretty much smallest to largest. And our Whisper Comfort, that had a refresh a couple years ago, got larger, was a 40 CFM unit, and now is a 60 CFM unit. So this is more of a spot or small home ERV. It's you know, the great part about this one is it looks like a big ceiling fan is what it looks like, and there's only two lines you need to run for it. So for smaller footprints, definitely the go-to. The IntelliBalance that you've got, Matt, which is right there. We've got several models in that line. We've got hardwire. We've got corded, and again a big performer for a number of years. Our most recent launch was for the single family homes. Is our Balanced Home series. We've got 4 different CFM ranges, and they come in 120, 130, 150, and 160 CFM. So we pretty much premiered these at the Builder Show and AHR, and really got a great response, and we're continuing to build on that. And our largest model, the IntelliBalance 200, for the really big footprints. You know what we're I would say in probably the next week or two, you're going to see some additional products, some additional ERVs coming from Panasonic, and we're really excited to fully announce those. But again, just wanted to tease them a little bit at this webinar. So look for something big coming with bigger and better performance and some CFM increases.
Right. Now, is that in a matter of weeks or a month or what do we?
You're probably talking a week, maybe two.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, there was another issue that came up recently with all the wildfire smoke that's been going around. And I know, the MERV that 13 can catch, some of that, but say it's extreme and say you've got real bad outdoor air. There was some worry about, well, what happens if my ERV is bringing in air that's full of wildfire smoke, but your product has some kind of solution for that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got well, our balanced home series, the one that we just launched, has it has a recirc mode. So there's a couple aspects to this. I'll show you how it works.
Show us a slide. Okay.
So if there is wildfire smoke outside, you can put the balanced home ERV into recirc mode, and you see the dampers on the left closing. And so they're closing off the outside air, and then what happens internally, there is the damper opens, and now what it will do is it will recirculate the air within the home, and while it's doing that, it's pushing it through the MERV 13 that's in there. So so you're getting some filtration through there, and you're also you're preventing any further smoke from coming in. So it's a pretty neat feature. And if we get to look at some other aspects of the balanced home, there's interesting ways to actually control it. So
and I will say, having installed a couple of them, I mean, I'm not a HVAC technician. They're pretty easy, especially they can be a DIY project. It's maybe a little advanced DIY, but they're certainly not any contractor can handle this. The installs are not super complex in my experience. So also, I will say the units, I was concerned the units might be noisy. They're very quiet. You have those have inverter type motors in them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have. So every one of our ERVs that was on that screen we have two ECM motors in there. So these are DC motors. They have a number of really good efficiency ratings. And again, it's something that they're brushless motors, and what they do is they basically have a power inverter, and they're converting from AC to DC. And one of the other in addition to that, the motors are powered with or they're controlled by smart flow technology, which is something that Panasonic has had. And what that does is it's when it sees static pressure, it's going to overcome that. It will see it, and then it will ramp up to get where it has to be. It's one of the little sayings. It's like with Panasonic, you get what you set. So if you're setting it for 100 CFM, you're going to get 100 CFM.
Yeah, and you can operate it 24 hours a day if you want at a low speed. Really energy efficiency. I don't think I even hardly saw a bump in my electric bill.
Absolutely.
You had a little data, didn't you? An ROI. While you're pulling that up, Chris, so I wanted to respond to somebody who posted in the chat that they've had trouble getting homeowners to see the value, in ERVs, and I think it's an education thing, right? It's they don't know really what an ERV does or why it's important and that sort of thing. And I think we're both on the same page. We're trying to get people to be more aware, both the health benefits and for builders, it's going to solve code issues. So what are the other sort of talking points that could help somebody who's really maybe they're a builder, maybe they're a contractor, they're trying to talk a client into an ERV? What's the number one thing that might turn their head?
So well, first let's talk about cost, right? So that's everybody's concern. And so basically, here's a quick sheet on cost if you're running a supply fan and an exhaust fan, and these are efficient ones at 12 watts. It's going to cost you roughly $37 a year to run. So, but with that, you're not tempering the air. So your HVAC unit is going to have to work overtime. I have the New Jersey utility rates here, 18 cents. And then if you're running an ERV 24/7, it's 60 CFM, kind of a mid-range, $63. So basically it would cost you $25 more, $63 a year. So again, not a big expense.
We've done a lot of research on consumer behavior too, and one of the things that we know is people, for example, don't use their kitchen range hoods, right? So they almost never, like 70% of people never touch their range hood, and you're throwing all these pollutants into your house. An ERV isn't designed to, it's not supposed to replace a range hood, but at the same time, if you've got an ERV running all the time, even the bad behavior of the homeowners can be compensated for somewhat, because it's going to keep diffusing, it's going to keep moving that air. You've got a teenager that's taken 1.5 hour long showers, putting all that moisture in the air, not running a bath fan, or doesn't have an automatic bath fan. It starts to it balances out the air in the house, sort of, without you having to attend it, right?
Absolutely. Some of our all of our ERVs have a boost function. So when you're when those things occur, or when I cook, you know, I don't tend to do very well, and there tends to be, and really, yeah, there's a lot of smoke.
Yeah.
VOCs, particulate matter just goes flying through the air. And you have air sensors in your home. I have them in mine. You can tell when something's when you're cooking. I mean, you can see those levels rise, and it's regardless of if it's an electric or a gas stove, you're still going to get those elements of particulate matter that are floating.
That's
And
why
the
we have
ER
record childhood asthma.
Right,
It's one of the main
right,
causes. Yeah.
absolutely.
So this pressure balancing also it does other things, right? So, for example, if you live in the Northeast and you've got gas, like a gas boiler, if you get an air imbalance, your gas boiler can actually backdraft, right? So this can help compensate for those dangerous situations where you get pressure imbalances in different parts of the house.
Right.
Right.
If you're running an exhaust only strategy, that can contribute to negative pressure in the house, especially if the house is tight. And that could cause issues with fossil fuel powered appliances.
Right.
Supply only, the other technique, then now you're just bringing air in, and it can be tied to like the HVAC unit, but again, you're pressurizing the house. You might overpressurize. ERVs are probably your best bet for, keeping that balance of positive and negative pressure. And they can be dialed in too. You can up it a little bit on the pressure side if you want. And again, every house is different, so your HVAC professional will be able to do that for you.
What about, we live in this time when temperature extremes seem to be ever more extreme. Is there an argument one way or another about, whether ERVs are maybe more important now that temperatures are so high in the outdoors? How does that work out in terms of, or does it make a difference with an ERV?
Well, as we were talking about earlier, in the southern states, where there's a lot of moisture, ERVs are certainly a welcome addition. And in the north, in Canada and the northern U.S., and in those extreme areas, the your best bet is to get an ERV that has that negative 13 degree Fahrenheit rating from the Home Ventilating Institute. And just a little plug for the Home Ventilating Institute. This is the body that measures the performance of ERVs. So all of the data that I have, the data that I've shown and will show, all of it comes from HVI, and it's on their website, so you can see how ERVs stack up against each other, and also against HRVs as well.
Right. And so that's a good segue. So we often have a little bit of confusion about difference between ERV and an HRV. So
Right.
fix that for us. What's the difference?
So HRVs, they came first. They were basically, an HRV is an ERV. However, it can only move heat and energy. It cannot move moisture, so it's not going to have any effect. And they require a condensation line to be attached, because there's that moisture just gets it's getting dumped. So it can certainly it can dry homes out in the winter, if they're not careful. But they were the predecessor to the ERV, and the ERVs are have really come a long way from their the first models that came out.
Now, you don't need a condensation line with an ERV, correct?
Correct, because
So
it's
why
managing.
is that?
Yeah, it's managing that moisture through the core. So
Okay.
the core has a certain porosity to it
Mhm.
that allows the moisture molecules to flow through,
Okay.
whereas the HRV does not.
Now, one thing that might scare homeowners off is they're like, oh no, do I have to switch filters on this thing? Do I have to maintain it? What's the actual maintenance of an ERV like?
Pretty similar to your furnace filter, maintenance. However, the basic maintenance for an ERV and HRV is you're replacing the filter. For ours, we have an indicator that will notify you 90 days to check. Okay, so you
Okay.
check your filter, and then it's 6 months you replace the filter, but whether you needed to or not.
Gotcha.
Other things to do. The basic vacuuming of the core. Most of these have access doors where it just comes right off.
Yep.
Very easy to do, and you take the core out and vacuum it. Ours, you don't wash, you vacuum, and it's again, it's really easy. I guess the last thing is the outside ducts where it goes to the outside of the envelope to make
Yeah.
sure those aren't blocked
Right.
or have
Right.
any critters in them, right?
Right. Now, I remember I asked one of your Panasonic guys one time about what happens if, however many years, if the core was damaged or you wanted to replace it. And they said it is actually possible to replace a core.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The cores are replaceable. We have we maintain service parts for a long time.
Okay.
And we but on top of that, I think the core warranty is 6 years. So
Okay.
we do stand by it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now let's talk about retrofit a little bit. I mean,
Sure.
I know we've been aiming towards new construction, but I've done a couple of retrofits. I think it's a little harder, but talk about how would somebody retrofit? Do they put this in a utility room? Do they put it in the attic? Where does it go? Give us some cost estimates. Give us whatever information you want that might help people make that call.
Sure. And of course I have a picture.
Okay.
That'll help. So as we were discussing earlier, the ERVs can work with or without an air handler, so they can run independently. So to the left is a fully ducted, dedicated installation where you have an ERV and you're just going to run it. And this is mainly or it's probably more prevalent for new construction.
Yeah.
You have a retrofit over on the right. You can run the ERV through the air handler, and this
Okay.
is just one of the methods, kind of shown there. There's a couple different ways to do it, but if you have you have a traditional air handler unit, you can certainly run it through that, and that's probably your best bet as far
Easiest.
as yeah,
Yeah.
because it's going to you're going to use that existing duct work, and it's and utilize the air handler. So it will actually turn the air handler on when needed to help push that air through.
Oh, okay. So for those of you who aren't, in the trades, may not know what an air handler is. So that's usually that big box with a fan in it that's connected either to your furnace or your heat pump that blows the air around in your duct. So this would go right into that box and be part of your existing like whole house cooling or whole house heating. You wouldn't have to necessarily add different, duct, vent openings in different rooms. You just use your existing system.
Yep. The additional duct runs would be to the outdoors as it shows over on the left. That's what I was referring to earlier, to make sure those stay clear.
Right. And yeah, I mean, I think I've had mine 5 or 6 years and I've never had to actually clean the outdoor ones yet. So, but you never know. So in terms of like automation, are there any automatic features? Like I think you have some partners that you work with where you can have, if one system calls, this one can be turned on, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we've partnered with we've got a couple couple aspects of controls for our ERVs. So over on the let's talk about the automation portion.
Okay.
For the new balanced home ERVs, we have a Wi-Fi module, and what that will do, it gives you an app so you can control the ERV. And in addition to that, utilizing Swidget switches and sensors, you can actually boost that ERV, on the fly. That particular switch that with the little waves, that's an
Yeah.
air quality sensor, detects calculated VOCs or VOCs and calculated CO2, and it will boost. So when I'm cooking, it will sense it, and it will boost that ERV to whatever you have your boost set at, whether it's the top or something else. What's
So one of our audience members, Kate, was asking about which air sensor like I'd used in my project. So this is Panasonic's partner, has built-in air sensor in that device, which also is linked, can be linked directly to the Panasonic ERV, correct?
Yep, via Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's handy. Yeah.
The other interesting thing that we've done with the Wi-Fi module, we have other products too. We have our Whisper Green Select and our Whisper Fresh Select. So that's our premier bathroom fan, and the Fresh Select is a supply air fan. If you're utilizing either of those, in particular the Whisper Green, and you're utilizing the balanced home, and all of them have the Wi-Fi module plugged in, it will actually balance. If you activate two Whisper Greens at 50 CFM apiece, and you have the ERV running, it will actually lower the supply and lower the exhaust and raise the supply to actually self-balance within the home, utilizing that the Whisper Green and the balanced home.
That's cool. Is that a fairly, I didn't see that feature. I went to the show last year. Is that a fairly new?
It's fairly new.
Yeah.
With the balanced home launch back in like I said, February. That's kind of when we took part in that, and I would suspect, if I was a betting person, that maybe the new stuff that's going to be coming may also have that functionality as well.
Right. So you can tie them. They all intersect in the Wi-Fi app. So, and they sort of talk to each other.
Correct. And you can, really the amount of automations you could set, you can really have you can make it as sophisticated or as basic as you want.
Can you use these, or are builders using them in multifamily projects as well? Like, are you seeing ERV installations in, apartments, condos, townhouses?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. I was actually at a site out in Minnesota, utilizing our Whisper Comforts out there. The IntelliBalance is a really big multifamily product that because of its low profile, it can work in those drop ceilings. So again, that's multifamily we have a very large following in multifamily for the IntelliBalance and the Comfort.
So I'm a developer, and I'm building a multifamily that I haven't installed ERVs before. Tell me why I should have ERVs in my 100-unit building.
Well, first thing is it might be code driven, so that's your first checkbox. But also by managing moisture within the envelope, it's going to help maintain that unit. It's going to help preserve the fixtures and everything else by, again, managing moisture. If you have it running constant, and like you said, you don't have to have it running at 100 CFM. All of these can run low and slow. 30 CFM constant, and with a boost as needed. But again, for multifamily, and the big aspect is for the homeowner or for the occupant.
Yeah. Or whatever. Yeah.
They're going to get that. They're going to get that fresh air, constantly provided.
Have you guys done any research? I'm sure you have on what people, whether they notice, indoor air quality, and are they interested? The actual end user, say a tenant or whatever. Are they is an apartment that's got an ERV going to be a little more attractive than one that's not, or is it on their radar yet?
I think it's getting there.
Mhm.
You know, again, when you have you know, close occupancy, you know, you want to be able to expel, you know, various odors and smells, and you know, everybody, yeah, anybody that cooks like me, you know,
Yeah,
you don't want them as your neighbor, but unfortunately, I'm not a good cook, so you know,
yeah.
you want those smells out of the house.
Well, I would think too, as a landlord too, to keep your property values, if your tenants, you don't know what your tenants are doing. Are they running a range hood? Are they in there for
Right.
5 years cooking with no range hoods? Because I would think you could avoid some property damage, or repainting and recoating and that sort of thing by keeping the air moving.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the diffusion, right? You're
Yeah.
diffusing
Mhm.
whatever's in that apartment, and you know, keeping 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 the walls nice, keeping the fixtures nice, you know, avoiding that moisture damage.
Right, right. And there's also, I guess, especially it depends on the climate, but the mold issue. If you want to keep mold out of your house, you want to keep that humidity level down. You want to keep the air moving, right? So that there's a mold deterrent aspect.
Right. Yeah. You know, high humidity is, you know, you're going to have mold, and that's never, you don't want to call back for that. You don't want to call from a tenant about that.
Right.
And
Right.
again, keeping that air moving, diffusing, again, I think it's a win-win.
Yeah. Where is the biggest area right now for you with these products? What part of the country are people, moving into ERVs the most quickly or
Again, a lot of it's code driven. So we
Mhm.
see the Northeast, we see the Pacific Northwest. You know, we've got Minnesota, New York. You know, those you know, a lot of the code driven states, and now we're seeing, you know, some of the southern states, whether it's not code driven, but they're going to see the benefit of that of an ERV with moisture management. Um,
Right. Right.
and although you know, we talked about, you know, studies. Uh, one of the projects we have now in Texas is it's a project home, and really the amount of moisture that the ERV is taking care of. When I say taking care of, managing,
Yeah.
has pretty much rendered the dehumidifier not needed. It's
Mhm.
had a and this is in an extremely humid area,
Yeah.
and it's the humidity's been 60% pretty much year round.
That's interesting, because a lot of people are really into basement living, but in my experience, having both built and rebuilt basements and lived in them, they're
Right.
never quite. It's just so hard to keep the moisture out of them, and to condition them. Could an ERV be maybe a solution people haven't thought of for helping condition a basement area?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
So you know, I've heard from our sales force, a lot of people are using, it may be a big single family home, but then what they'll do is they'll put a Whisper Comfort in the basement,
yeah,
to help with the A, moisture, and B, fresh air.
right,
Sometimes the basements aren't that ventilated very
right.
well.
A little stuffy. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it helps. And by dropping the humidity level in the house a little bit, does that affect does it actually drop your HVAC costs, cooling costs? Because is the HVAC not working as hard, or does that make a difference?
Well, it's certainly going to reduce the load on the HVAC unit. So just kind of like when you have a window unit, and you turn that on, it takes a while for it to get going and get, you know, if
Yeah,
it's a hot, stuffy room,
yeah,
what it's going to do, it's by having less moisture in there, basically it's taking the moisture out. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
with an AC, this is going to help manage that.
yeah. And I think, some people may have no idea, and you don't need to get into specifics of cost, but I think they're not as expensive as people believe them to be. I mean, if I can say, my DIY, which had no installation costs, I think was 12 or 1,500 bucks, maybe less. And I know
Right.
the newer models might be more than that, but I mean, it's not a $10,000 item to put,
No,
put an
no, no,
ERV.
no.
You
I
know,
think you're right in the
yeah,
ballpark
yeah.
as far as cost.
As far as
Um,
raw cost, anyway. Yeah,
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 and
yeah.
then depending on your contractor, you know, and what type of install it is. So
Right, right. So, compared with almost anything else, solar panels, redoing a bathroom now is, I think, upwards of 30,000 bucks.
yeah, I was gonna guess 25, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's
So, everything's going up, but it's a pretty manageable cost in terms of the improvement in overall life quality that you can get out of it, I think. So,
Well, when people are retrofitting, whether it's bathrooms, kitchens,
yeah.
or help protect that with an ERV, to protect that investment. It's a very small addition.
Yeah. Now we dealt with a company that they actually don't put range hoods in, and they use the ERV in the kitchen. I'm not sure about that. There's kind of it's innovative, but I'm not sure if it's the best approach to push an ERV that hard. But I mean, I think of it more as a backup for the kitchen and a way to
Right.
balance things as opposed to a primary, ventilator.
So no, it can certainly help.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be directly in the kitchen. And actually, we in our installation instructions, we're specific as to where to pull from.
Yeah.
But again, it certainly does help, especially when culinary mishaps occur.
Right. Hey, take a look at your slides there. I just want to make
Oh.
sure, was there any other categories or stuff that you wanted to chat about to bring up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yes. There was. Let me just get this going here. So we were talking, and I just wanted to talk
Yeah.
one more minute
Talking
about
point here. Yeah.
yeah. So we were looking at our portfolio.
Yeah.
Just to highlight the balanced home. And we were talking about I gave the preamble of, hey, here's the SRE. So this is the sensible recovery, 82, very
Okay.
good numbers. So these are very good numbers. The one thing I did want to say and show, and again, this is taken from HVI data, is that installed performance aspect, or overcoming static pressure. So the static pressure is measured in water gauge, 0.1, and this one actually went up to 0.6. We do test higher than that. But just as for instance, 0.6 is a pretty good amount of static pressure, and static pressure happens when you have a lot of bends in your duct
Right.
work, or maybe some 90s instead of being more tapered. We only lose 6 CFM from the top. So again, we're losing a very low amount, 3.7%, at 0.6 water gauge, which is a very high static pressure. We have seen, and you can check it, our competitors, some of the ERVs and HRVs that are out there, they lose 15%, they lose 30%. We saw one that was actually almost 60%.
Wow.
So again, this is a testament to the motors and the core. So again, I just wanted to point that out. Aside from all the bells and whistles, you set what you get what you set.
Yeah. So it's a high. I guess what you're saying is not all ERVs are created equal. First of all, like there is different, like that inverter technology, for example, the ability to ramp up and variable speed and all that stuff does make a big difference. I think that also makes a difference in terms of how noisy it is. Keeps it super quiet, right?
Yep. And actually, our comfort's it's rated for sound as well. The whisper comfort. So again, it's sound is a major thing. We don't you don't want people. Oops, I'm sorry. You don't want people upset because it's too loud.
Well, I think also another thing driving this is energy costs are going up, partly because of the data centers. We thought we were going to use less energy by now, but now we're actually using more energy every year because of the data centers. But at any rate, as energy becomes more expensive, it becomes less efficient forms of ventilation are not as attractive, right? So like you don't just want to leave a window open or just leave a bath fan on all the time with just an output, right? You want to have a way to conserve the energy at the same time getting the ventilation value.
You paid for it. You don't want it going out the window.
Right. You don't want to throw it out the window. So.
Right.
All right. I think that's all I had in terms of questions and stuff for you. But like, is there anything you wanted to say kind of as we wrap up here? Any parting thoughts about maybe why people should, maybe who haven't thought about ERVs, should be thinking about them and over the next couple of years?
Absolutely. And like I said, it's even though it may not be code driven, but I think it's a great addition to any home, whether it's a tiny home, whether it's a multifamily, single family, large or small. It's going to improve the indoor air quality. It's going to help with removing, if you got pets, dander, all that stuff. It's going to help with that. You know, and also it's going to help preserve the home itself by managing that moisture. You know, it's if when humidity is too high or too low, you're not comfortable. You know,
Right.
the temperature could be whatever it is, but yeah, if you're not managing that moisture, and it's
Well, also it's degrading materials. I mean, you know, you get that moisture, you know, behind your drywall, or, you know, that the moisture gets into everything inside your house. You can't, it's not something just a comfort issue. It will
right.
actually destroy your house over time. So, you know, like Joe Stieberek, our friend, always says, you know, moisture is the enemy. It's
Yes,
always moisture in the house where you don't want it.
absolutely.
Right. So everybody who's still on the call with us, well, we will take your questions, but we'll take them by email. Mike can explain. I think going to send them to Dawn, and Dawn will follow up with you rather than hold everybody up here. So if you have specific stuff about anything you heard today or other stuff related to ERVs and ventilation, you know, Mike's going to queue us up and then tell you where to send them. So thank you, Dawn. Nice chatting with you. And
Matt, thank you. Pleasure.
great.
Appreciate it.
Great webinar, and hope we'll do it again soon.
Yes, as Matt had mentioned, we do have to go. Unfortunately, Don has a prior commitment. However, I had been furiously jotting down all the questions that have been sent in. And Don, be prepared. There are many.
Okay, got it.
But we are going to get every one of those questions over to Don. So you will hear from Don. You will get your question answered. So everyone who's going, wait a minute, wait, don't worry. We'll get to you. We promise.
Yes, good.
But we do want to thank our audience for being here. You know, great showing from our audience. Wonderful questions have been coming in, Don. Thank you, Matt, for leading the discussion today. And also thank you very much to Panasonic Healthy Indoor Living Solutions for their generous sponsorship of this discussion. We very much appreciate their generosity. Our next webinar is going to take place in 2 weeks. On October the 2nd, we'll be back with another Housing 2.0 webinar. Sam is going to look at how to manage home buyer uncertainty. Maybe they'll be less uncertain with yesterday's announcement of a quarter-point interest rate drop, but I'm guessing there's more to their concerns than that. So you'll want to tune in starting at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to find out. Again, that's Thursday, October 2nd. Until next time, have a great autumnal equinox and stay safe, stay healthy, and take care, everyone. So long.
Thank you.
Thank you.